Have you ever wondered what happens when someone who spent their whole life running from love finally realizes they destroy the one person who genuinely cares about them? I'm here to walk you through the most devastating moment an avoidant person can experience, that precise moment when they understand they don't just lose someone, they destroy something irreplaceable with their own hands. The breaking point arrives when an avoidant person finally sees their relationship for what it actually is, instead of what their fear tells them it is. Everything they think they know gets turned upside down. The person they convince themselves is too needy isn't needy at all. They are just someone who wants to build something real. The moments they feel suffocated aren't suffocation. They are invitations to intimacy that they reject out of fear. The future plans that feel like pressure aren't pressure. They are dreams being shared by someone who sees a life with them. This realization forces them to confront a devastating truth. Their partner isn't trying to control them or take away their freedom. Their partner is offering them the rarest thing in the world, unconditional love that doesn't require them to be perfect or different. Someone who sees their walls and chooses to stay anyway. Someone who understands that love means accepting someone completely, flaws and all. What makes this breaking point so brutal is understanding that their partner does everything right. When they need space, their partner gives it. When they push away, their partner doesn't chase desperately. When they shut down emotionally, their partner waits patiently. Their partner loves them in exactly the way they need to be loved, and they destroy it anyway because the very perfection of that love feels too threatening to accept. The avoidant person begins to see that every fight they start is really about their own fear. Every time they criticize their partner's efforts to connect, they are pushing away exactly what they secretly want. Every moment they choose distance over closeness, they are protecting themselves from the very thing that could heal the wounds that make them so afraid of intimacy in the first place. Their partner isn't like the others who hurt them before. This person doesn't make demands or threaten to leave when things get difficult. They don't try to change them or fix them or make them more emotionally available. They simply offer a safe space where vulnerability can exist without punishment, where being seen completely doesn't lead to judgment or abandonment. And the avoidant person rejects it systematically, not because their partner isn't good enough, but because love feels too dangerous. Not because they don't care, but because they care so much that it terrifies them. They push away someone who understands them better than they understand themselves, someone who recognizes their defense mechanisms for what they are minus protection from past pain, not character defects. This breaking point reveals that their partner knows exactly who they are, someone wounded, someone scared, someone who learns early in life that love means losing yourself or being controlled, and loves them anyway. Their partner isn't trying to trap them in some suffocating relationship. They are offering genuine partnership that honors their need for independence while still creating real connection and emotional intimacy. But the avoidant person can't see it at the time because their nervous system is constantly scanning for threats that aren't actually there. Every gesture of love feels like a potential trap. Every attempt at intimacy feels like an invasion of their carefully guarded emotional space. Every conversation about the future feels like walls closing in around their precious autonomy. So they do what feels safest. They find ways to create problems where none exist, to push away before they can be abandoned. The devastating realization is that their partner tries everything humanly possible to make it work. They adjust their approach when the avoidant person seems overwhelmed by too much closeness. They respect boundaries even when it means getting less emotional intimacy than they naturally want. They stay consistent and reliable even when their love isn't being reciprocated in the ways they hope for. They create the safest possible environment for trust and vulnerability to grow naturally, and it still isn't enough, because the avoidant person is more committed to their familiar patterns of self-protection than they are to their own happiness. They are more invested in avoiding potential hurt than they are in receiving actual love that is being freely offered. They choose the loneliness they know over the connection they fear might disappear. This breaking point forces them to acknowledge that their partner isn't the problem. Their childhood wounds aren't even the real problem. The problem is their absolute refusal to believe that someone can see all their damaged parts and still choose to stay. They can't trust that vulnerability doesn't automatically lead to abandonment or control or being consumed by another person's needs. Their partner is actually showing them that love doesn't have to feel like a prison, that caring about someone doesn't mean losing yourself, that building a life together doesn't mean giving up your individual identity or personal freedom. But the avoidant person is so focused on protecting their independence that they miss the fact that real love actually enhances who you are instead of diminishing it. The breaking point comes with understanding that what they interpret as clingy behavior is actually someone trying to build a deeper emotional connection. What feels like overwhelming pressure is actually someone expressing hope for a shared future together. What seems like invasive questions about their feelings are actually genuine attempts to understand and know them on a more intimate level. Their partner isn't trying to fix them because their partner doesn't see them as fundamentally broken. They see someone worth loving exactly as they are, walls and all. Someone whose defenses and emotional unavailability are completely understandable given their past experiences. Someone who deserves patience and consistency until they feel safe enough to let those protective barriers come down naturally. But instead of receiving this extraordinary gift, the avoidant person spends all their energy looking for problems that don't exist, creating distance when closeness is offered, and finding reasons why the relationship can't possibly work long-term. They turn their partner's genuine expressions of love into evidence of neediness or desperation. They make their partner's dreams and hopes for the future into sources of pressure and obligation. They transform every sincere offering of intimacy into a perceived threat to their hard-won autonomy. The breaking point reveals that they have someone who loves them without any agenda to change them, understands them without passing judgment, and stays committed even when they make the relationship unnecessarily difficult. Someone who recognizes that their need for emotional and physical space isn't a character flaw or sign of selfishness, but a necessary coping mechanism developed to survive past relationships or childhood experiences, and they destroy it methodically, not through any single dramatic betrayal or explosive fight, but through 1,000 small rejections accumulated over time, 1,000 moments of choosing familiar fear over unfamiliar faith. 1,000 times they pick the safety of emotional protection over the risk of genuine connection. They slowly but systematically push away the one person who might be able to show them that love doesn't have to be a threat to their sense of self. The most painful part of this realization is understanding that their partner genuinely cares about their emotional well-being and personal growth. When they offer space during conflicts, it isn't because they don't want to resolve things. It is because they recognize that the avoidant person needs time to process without feeling cornered or overwhelmed. When they remain patient during periods of emotional shutdown, it isn't because they enjoy being locked out. It is because they understand that healing from attachment wounds takes considerable time and can't be rushed. This breaking point forces the avoidant person to confront the devastating truth that they aren't actually protecting themselves from their partner at all. They are protecting themselves from their own tremendous capacity to love and be loved in return. Their partner is never the real threat they are defending against. The actual threat is their own potential for the kind of deep connection that could transform their entire understanding of what relationships could be. Their partner represents everything they have secretly wanted, but are far too afraid to accept: genuine intimacy that doesn't come with suffocation, true partnership that doesn't require losing their individual identity, unconditional love that doesn't come with impossible expectations or demands for immediate emotional availability. Someone who sees their incredible potential for connection and patiently tries to nurture it instead of demanding that they become someone completely different overnight. But the avoidant person can't receive what is being so generously offered because accepting it would mean admitting they have been wrong about love their entire adult life. It would mean trusting another human being with access to their most vulnerable emotional spaces. It would mean believing that opening their heart completely doesn't always end in betrayal, abandonment, or the loss of everything they've worked to build independently. And that level of risk feels absolutely insurmountable, so they choose what seems like the safer option, the familiar comfort of emotional distance and the protective loneliness they have always known. They reject the unfamiliar territory of mutual vulnerability and shared emotional intimacy because it requires them to step outside everything they think they know about how to survive relationships without losing themselves completely. What makes this breaking point even more devastating is the recognition that their partner actually creates the perfect environment for their emotional growth and healing. They offer unconditional positive regard while still maintaining their own boundaries and sense of self. They demonstrate that two people can be deeply connected without either person disappearing into the relationship or losing their individual identity. The avoidant person realizes their partner manages to love them in a way that feels safe, not demanding immediate emotional reciprocation, not punishing them for needing time and space to process feelings, not threatening to leave every time intimacy feels scary. Their partner essentially creates a secure base from which they could explore vulnerability at their own pace, without fear of judgment or abandonment. But instead of recognizing this gift for what it is, the avoidant person interprets their partner's emotional maturity as weakness. They see their partner's patience as desperation. They mistake their partner's unconditional love for neediness or lack of self-respect. They can't understand that someone can love them so completely while still maintaining their own sense of worth and personal boundaries. This realization brings a unique form of grief because the avoidant person understands they don't just lose a relationship. They lose a teacher, a healer, someone who could have shown them how to love and be loved in healthy ways. Their partner has been modeling secure attachment, demonstrating that intimacy doesn't have to mean losing yourself, showing them that vulnerability can actually be a source of strength rather than weakness. The breaking point also involves understanding that their partner never tries to rush their emotional development or force them to change faster than they are capable of changing. They offer gentle encouragement without pressure, create opportunities for deeper connection without making them feel trapped, and provide emotional safety without making them feel suffocated or controlled. Their partner recognizes that the avoidant person's defensive behaviors aren't personal attacks or signs of not caring. They are trauma responses, protective mechanisms developed over years of learning that emotional openness can be dangerous, and instead of taking these behaviors personally or retaliating with their own defensive responses, their partner remains calm, consistent, and emotionally available. The avoidant person realizes their partner has been offering them something they have never experienced before, the opportunity to be loved exactly as they are while still being gently invited to grow into who they could become. Not forced to change, not criticized for their limitations, but lovingly supported in their journey toward greater emotional availability and deeper connection. But this level of unconditional love feels so foreign, so unlike anything they have experienced before, that it triggers every alarm system they have developed to protect themselves from potential hurt. Instead of recognizing safety, they see danger. Instead of recognizing love, they see manipulation. Instead of recognizing healing, they see threat. The most heartbreaking aspect of this breaking point is understanding that their partner genuinely sees their potential, not just who they are in that moment, but who they could become with the right kind of love and support. Their partner looks past their walls and defenses and sees someone capable of deep love, meaningful connection, and emotional intimacy. They believe in the avoidant person's capacity for growth, even when the avoidant person doesn't believe in it themselves. And the avoidant person rejects not just their partner's love, but their partner's faith in them. They turn away from someone who sees their highest potential and is willing to patiently support them in reaching it. They choose their familiar limitations over the possibility of becoming someone capable of giving and receiving love in healthy, sustainable ways. What makes the breaking point even more excruciating is the realization that their partner loves them through their worst behaviors. When they are cold and distant, their partner responds with warmth. When they are critical and harsh, their partner responds with understanding. When they are unavailable and withdrawn, their partner remains present and consistent. Their partner demonstrates what unconditional love actually looks like, not enabling unhealthy behavior, but loving the person beneath the behavior while still maintaining appropriate boundaries. The avoidant person understands that their partner sees through their protective strategies to the wounded person underneath. They recognize that the emotional walls and defensive behaviors aren't the real person. They are just the armor that person wears to feel safe in a world that teaches them that love is dangerous. Their partner loves both the armor and the person beneath it, understanding that both are necessary for their survival until healing can occur. But instead of allowing this unconditional love to slowly dissolve their defenses, the avoidant person interprets their partner's acceptance as weakness or desperation. They test their partner's love over and over again, pushing boundaries, creating unnecessary drama, and finding fault with their partner's responses. They look for evidence that this love is conditional like all the others, that their partner will eventually get tired of their emotional unavailability and leave. When their partner continues to stay and love them through all of this testing, it should be reassuring. Instead, it is terrifying because it challenges everything they believe about how love works. If someone can love them through their worst behavior, if someone can see their flaws and still choose to stay, then maybe they are wrong about love being inherently dangerous. But admitting that would mean rebuilding their entire understanding of relationships from the ground up. The breaking point forces them to see that their partner offers them a chance to rewrite their story about love. They are given the opportunity to experience what secure attachment feels like. Consistent, reliable, patient love that doesn't disappear when things get difficult. Their partner models emotional regulation, healthy communication, and the kind of mature love that creates safety for both people in the relationship. But the avoidant person is too focused on protecting themselves from imaginary threats to recognize the real gift they are being offered. They are so busy defending against the possibility of being hurt that they miss the opportunity to be healed. They are so committed to their belief that love is dangerous that they can't see evidence of love that is actually safe. Now they understand that their partner isn't trying to trap them or control them or take away their independence. Their partner is trying to show them that true intimacy actually enhances independence rather than threatening it. When you feel securely loved, you have the confidence to be authentically yourself. When you trust that someone will still be there even when you're imperfect, you can stop wasting energy on defensive behaviors and start focusing on growth. The avoidant person realizes that their partner offers them the chance to become the best version of themselves, not by demanding that they change, but by loving them in a way that makes change feel safe and possible. Their partner creates an environment where vulnerability can flourish, where emotional growth can happen naturally, where two people can build something beautiful together without either person losing their sense of self. And they destroy it all because they are more committed to their fear than they are to their own happiness. They choose the familiar pain of loneliness over the unfamiliar joy of being truly known and loved. They pick their comfortable limitations over the scary possibility of becoming someone capable of giving and receiving love without losing themselves. This breaking point doesn't just reveal that they lose someone important in their life, it reveals that they lose someone who could actually help them heal from whatever original wounds make them so terrified of love and intimacy in the first place. Someone who is genuinely willing to love them through their defense mechanisms and emotional walls until those protective barriers are no longer necessary for their sense of safety and autonomy. The ultimate tragedy is that this profound understanding usually arrives when it's far too late to repair the damage they create through years of systematic emotional rejection. Their former partner has moved forward with their life, found someone else who can receive love without making every gesture of care feel like an uphill battle, or simply made the healthy decision that they deserve much better than constant emotional unavailability disguised as independence. The avoidant person is left sitting with the complete knowledge of what they possess and what they systematically destroy, with absolutely no way to undo the accumulated damage they create through their own paralyzing fear of genuine intimacy. They must live with understanding that they have direct access to exactly what they have always wanted most, and they deliberately demolish it because they are more committed to their wounds than they are to their own healing and happiness. This is what it truly means when an avoidant person finally realizes they destroy real love. It's not simply about losing a romantic relationship. It's about understanding that they are offered the very thing they've spent their entire life secretly craving, and they systematically destroy it because they are more afraid of potential hurt than they are committed to actual happiness. They choose their familiar emotional wounds over genuine healing, their comfortable fear over uncomfortable growth, their known past over their unknown future possibilities. Have you witnessed someone destroy real love because they couldn't handle genuine intimacy? Share in the comments what you've observed about people who sabotage their own happiness out of deep-seated fear. If this helped you understand the devastating moment when avoidant people realize what they've truly lost, like this video and subscribe for more insights about the internal battles that keep people from accepting the love they desperately want most.